Hello, my friend. It is a beautiful spring day. Welcome to another picnic table talk. This one is going to be answering the question that I might get asked most frequently, which is which Fujifilm camera should I buy? I'm making this video because I get asked this enough that I want to have somewhere that I can point people to, but maybe it might help some of you just finding this video on accident. Before we get started, I have qualifications to make. I'm usually being asked by people who are interested in video. They want to be using their camera primarily for video, although most Fujifilm shooters are usually using both photo and video, but most people asking me are leaning to video, and most people asking me are also probably wanting to dabble with using this camera professionally. So when I'm taking seriously this question and being asked, I want to take seriously the professional possibilities as well as the video capabilities of the camera. So right out of the gate, that's very important. And then also, in order to keep the price discussion somewhat useful, of course, everything will be in USD and everything will be used. I'm taking the eBay listings that have sold and I'm using that to kind of build about an average pricing. So when I talk about prices in this video, that's what that's relevant to. This is going to be as simple of advice as I could possibly give. And fortunately, we are going to start with the first two cameras that I've already made a comparison and which should I buy video about. So all of the cameras I'm going to be talking about today in this video are the X-T3, the X-T4, the X-T5, the X-H2, and the X-H2S. I won't be talking about any other cameras, but if you think that I missed something, leave a comment, let me know. I'm always happy to hear from you. So the X-T3 and the X-T4 are the first two cameras on the list, and I'm starting here because they are the most affordable options available today. And I think by far they are the best value that's available from Fujifilm, particularly on the used market for videographers intending to possibly use them professionally. I think they are a great value because they offer high quality video specs that are still relevant today. 4K 60, a great log file, and 10-bit, not to mention an APS-C sensor, which is more than sufficient for what most people might end up using their camera for professionally. Overall, these cameras can be had for anywhere between $600, I've seen the X-T3 go as low as, up to about $1,100. I've seen the X-T4, and I've seen the X-T4 all over the place in terms of price. I've seen it drop all the way down to $800, all the way up to about $1,200-ish. And sometimes I've seen some crazy values come when it's bundled with a lens like the 16-80 or the 16-55. The 18-55, I love that lens. Here it is. And it's been all over the map. So I don't really know how to pinpoint that one, but it's usually about $1,000. It's usually a little more expensive than the body of the X-T3. And as I already said, I have a video about the X-T3 versus the X-T4. In short, the reason that I upgraded from the X-T3 to the X-T4 was so that I could have IBIS and dual card recording for video. Those two features alone sold me on the X-T4. If you, as an X-T3 user or someone interested in a camera that's about $800 in the Fujifilm brand and you don't need those features, and maybe you don't, then the X-T3 is well worth it. It's still the same sensor, it's still the equal specs. It is incredible. For the price, I'm amazed still that that camera is being offered. However, the X-T4 does have some really nice spec improvements that are important, particularly if you're in the wedding space or any other form of documentary work where dual card recording is going to be vital for you and you don't have the option for an external monitor, external recorder. So right there, that's kind of the recap of that video that I did comparing them. But these two cameras, when compared with the other options available, I would say are still very competitive. The big differences in my view are going to be in the new camera systems that we have. F-Log2, which does increase dynamic range. It does increase the value that I see in a camera because I love the image of F-Log2 quite a bit. The other thing is that there's new updated image sensors in them. There's new processing that comes with a lot of other benefits, such as better video specs like resolution, but not just resolution, just various frame rate options. So that for me is a really good value on the higher budget cameras. But these will still do what you need them to, in my opinion. Now, before we jump to the XH line, finishing the XT line with the X-T5, I think the X-T5 is a great camera at an amazing price point for anyone who wants to do video professionally, but doesn't want to go spend that kind of money on the XH series, because the X-T5 still has dual video recording, of course, from the X-T5, X-T4, but they went back to a traditional standard rear view screen, not a flip screen, but then they upgraded to 6K resolution and 10-bit 422 files instead of 10-bit 420, and they included the use of F-Log2 in the new camera. Oh, and how could I forget, probably one of the most important for many people, though I don't personally benefit from it too much, but the no recording limits. All recording limits have been removed from the X-T5, the XH2, and the XH2S, which is not the same situation with the X-T3 and the X-T4. They still had the 29-minute recording limit. Also, there's the fact that it does not have a full-size HDMI cable. So honestly, the X-T5 for me might win the overall best value. I believe the X-T3 and the X-T4 are probably the best value in terms of the low budget category, but in terms of what you can get for the money, the X-T5 for me is probably unbeatable on this list. I think that it is checking more boxes for more people than most of the cameras on the line at the right price point. So that to me is why the X-T5 probably wins the value conversation among the whole pack of these cameras, but the XH line definitely steps it up in a few different ways. So finally, now in the XH lineup, if you need resolution, the XH2 is going to be the way to go with that 8K available in video mode. However, I do think that it is not a video-oriented camera. So I really don't see a situation where I'm going to be recommending the XH2, where I maybe wouldn't just tell you to drop down to the X-T5 or save up for the XH2S. Maybe that opinion lands me in a bit of hot water, but I do think that the XH2 is a great camera, certainly capable of being used for video and being used professionally for video, but I don't see a reason why it's not worth saving a bit extra to move up to the XH2S, or to just fall back into the X-T5 and spend that money on lenses or other equipment. Now, there are definitely a few benefits of the XH2 over the X-T5. On the X-T5, that 6K is cropped at 1.3, I think, and the 8K on the XH2 is not cropped as far as I know. And so I would say that it's worth it for that factor, but in most cases, if that's not necessary for you, and for many people it is not, then I would say the X-T5 is probably worth saving the money so that you can spend it on other accessories, video related equipment. But if you can, then the ideal would be to go for the XH2S. And the XH2S for me is the best Fujifilm video camera available. I don't think that that's just for me. I think that that is well known across the spectrum. I would say that the reason that you're going to go for the XH2S is that you are someone who wants to be producing videos professionally, that you love to use Fujifilm, make videos, and that's what you want to do for a living. To me, that checks all the boxes. The XH2S has enough specs over the X-T5 and the XH2. Granted, the XH2 does record in 8K, whereas the XH2S only records in 6K. But there are other trade-offs that you're going to be making with that, and one of the largest ones is rolling shutter performance, which becomes somewhat important, especially if you want to handhold video like I do. But just in general, it is a valuable thing to have with less rolling shutter. Lastly, one of the most important specs to me, because I believe that it has probably one of the largest impacts on image and image quality and the feel of an image in general, is the dynamic range. And the XH2S has the best dynamic range available of all of the cameras listed here. So when you take that into account, along with all of the other specs like a full-size HDMI port, like no recording limits, like 6K 3x2 open gate recording, and not to mention less rolling shutter, 4K 120, that's something I hadn't mentioned yet. There are so many features about the XH2S that clearly make it Fujifilm's highest quality flagship available for video, hybrid users specifically. If you need photo hybrids specifically, then the X-H2 might be a better option, but usually, again, when people are coming to me and asking this question, they want to know about video. So that's my answer for you. That's kind of an overview of those 5 cameras, in my opinion, which are the best Fujifilm cameras available today for video people interested in Fujifilm, interested in buying a camera that might be used professionally. I know this may have been kind of a funny video, but I do hope that it was helpful. I hope that someone out there benefits from this. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one.